Hi, my name is Rem Koning. I'm an associate professor here at Harvard Business School. I teach entrepreneurship. And one of the things I do in my class is I encourage my students to work on ideas that they want to go out and test themselves. So go do customer discovery to test if actually anyone wants to buy your idea. Try to work out whether your idea for capturing methane emission actually can make money. And that requires my students and me to think about a lot of different industries. So I'll have students in my class doing everything from protein bars to climate tech to AI tech. And as an instructor, it's often hard for me to give feedback across this wide range of disciplines. So I'm going to illustrate how I solve that challenge using ChatGPT and generative AI. And in this case, as you can see in the document here, what I have from all my students throughout the semester is their writings on the industry they're focusing on and the sort of entrepreneurial experiments that they've run. In this case, it's an example for one of my students who was working on a startup to capture methane from unregulated or out of compliance municipal landfills. He actually went to Crapo Hills here in Massachusetts, it's a landfill, and talked with them for a day, sort of testing out his idea. As he was developing this idea through the semester, the students come to my office hours and we basically have kind of a session like a VC would have with an entrepreneur digging into those ideas. Where ChatGPT was really helpful for me is I could take the content of what they had developed and before our meetings actually upload it into ChatGPT, have ChatGPT summarize that. I'd read it. I could read the summary, but then also supercharge my ability to do research on the student's ideas. So here you can see the summary of this student's idea. I asked ChatGPT to raise common concerns. Most interestingly, I can ask it to find companies that are doing something like this idea already. So ChatGPT, other AI tools have the ability to browse the internet. So I had to look up other startups that were maybe playing in the space to see if for this student, there were ideas they could build off of or failures or successes they could learn from. And here you can see some examples, some of which were really similar, some which were not. And so when we met in the office hours, I could jump right in and say, hey, I found these four startup ideas. It took me about a minute to find them after uploading the document. How is your idea differentiated, similar or different? What have you learned that hasn't been there before? I also then can have a conversation with this basically AI version of my student throughout the semester and share that feedback with them back and forth, allowing us to dive into sort of the heart of the sort of entrepreneurial problems the student faces versus spending 20 minutes me getting up to speed on the sort of methane emission and landfill industry. We can get into sort of the nitty gritty of the sort of lesson that I wanted to teach when we met or when we were discussing the idea in the classroom. So what I learned from this experience was that AI could help me work with my students way more effectively, right? What I was doing would have required 5, 10 hours of background research on each individual student's industry and the sort of business they were working on, the sector they were targeting. With AI, I could do that research in 20 minutes, in 10 minutes, helping me get to the place in our conversation where we're really talking with the fundamental ideas around entrepreneurship and experimentation that I was teaching my students, instead of me having to spend 4 hours first getting up to speed, an hour with the student learning more, and then getting into the meat of the material I wanted to teach.